Well, it's been a year since Amnesty International sounded the alarm over the Nigerian government's failure to support girls and young women who'd escaped the clutches of Boko Haram in the northeast of the country. So many of these survivors, abducted, raped, and forced into marriages or combat roles, have returned to society only to face a new form of abandonment. According to a recent follow-up by Amnesty International, not a single survivor has received any adequate trauma counseling, vocational training, targeted reintegration services, and many sadly remain unemployed, stigmatized, and psychologically scarred without the support and the urgent need with help in terms of rebuilding their lives. Well, to unpack the situation and really what should be happening next, we're now joined by Issa Sanusi, who's the country director at Amnesty International Nigeria. Thank you so much indeed for joining us and welcome to the program.
Thank you, Peter, for having me this morning.
So, Mr. Sanusi, take us back a little bit. What prompted Amnesty International to release this follow-up report 1 year later? What have you seen in the ground in the interim? Hello, Mr. Sanusi, are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you now. I was just saying, what prompted Amnesty International to release this follow-up report 1 year later? What have you been seeing on the ground?
Well, we normally when we do research, we also do a follow-up. And this time we did that follow-up and we realized that Nigerian government was not able to take any action despite the research we produced last year and despite the fact that we presented them with adequate information, adequate details, adequate data to help them, help these girls to revive their lives, to rebuild their lives. Unfortunately, we did what we call a continuous follow-up, which is keeping in touch with the lives of people we interviewed in the course of this research, and we realized that nothing has been done. There was no effort whatsoever to address the problems highlighted by our report, and that was why we did this follow-up, because we feel that it's very important for the Nigerian government to do something, because the lives of these girls and young women have been shattered by Boko Haram, and they need assistance, they need support. If not, their lives will never come back to normal again.
Tell us a little bit more about the condition of these girls and actually young women today. Are they safe? Tell us the kind of situation they find themselves in without this support that you describe as badly needed.
Well, through our follow-up and constant contact with them, we realize that they are still having trauma as a result of living in the custody of Boko Haram for so many years. They also have the trauma that is from witnessing atrocities committed by Boko Haram. Let us go back to the fact that these girls were in the custody of Boko Haram. Boko Haram abducted them in the first place from their parents, some of them as young as 10, 9, 14. So we realized that they are still living with layers and layers of trauma, and psychosocial care is needed, and it was never there for them. Some of them are also having health challenges because they had children with Boko Haram. Some had as many as 4 children with Boko Haram fighters through sexual slavery. And as a result of that, and because of the fact that they had those children in the camps, in the bush with Boko Haram, they end up with so many health complications that have never been treated up to now. We also realize that some of them have ambition. They want to go back to school. They want to rebuild their lives. Unfortunately, the support is not there at all for them. And that is really some of the things that we discovered. And those are some of the reasons why we feel that a year on is a long time enough for the Nigerian government to do something, but they didn't. And we have to remind them that doing something is very important. And the right time to do it is now. And failure to do it will be devastating for the whole society.
What have the authorities said about not doing anything? They made promises. You must have engaged them and said, look, this is the situation on the ground. What did they say to you?
Well, they are not saying anything actually, and even our effort to engage them more effectively on this has been turned down. Apparently, as usual, the Nigerian authorities doing this kind of things is not a priority for them, and we believe that just because they don't feel it's a priority, we have to continue telling them that they are wrong and they have to do the right thing. We believe that rebuilding the lives of these girls is very important, but we will continue to also engage them because we have been sending them letters asking for meetings. Fortunately for us, international organizations supporting Nigerian government have been more cooperative, more supportive, more interested in the lives of these girls than the Nigerian government. But we will continue to try and engage them and make them realize the mistake they are making by ignoring these girls.
What number are we talking about in terms of girls that are in need and need assistance?
Well, I can't actually say we can't put a number to it, because one thing is that in Nigeria we have data issues, because it's very, very difficult for you to say this is exactly the number of girls, but in some camps you will find as many as hundreds of these girls. And you know, we have so many internally displaced persons camps across only Borno State alone and other parts of northeastern part of Nigeria. So you are talking about thousands in this case, and you are talking about also many other girls who are with their parents. They never go to internally displaced persons camps, therefore they are not registered. So, and some people, because of the stigma attached with being in the custody of Boko Haram, they hardly register their situation so that the government will take cognizance of their existence. Therefore, it's very difficult to put a number to it, but we believe that the number of these girls is so big to the extent that we should all be worried about the fact that nothing has been done about them.
You mentioned stigma, and that was something I wanted to explore as well, because reintegration must be very difficult, particularly in these environments where cultural and religious beliefs are quite high, conservative societies. It must be so hard for these young girls.
Definitely, and that is one of the reasons why we believe that they should not be abandoned. Because let me just give you one example of this kind of situations. Most of these girls have the ambition of rebuilding their lives, and one of the ways they want to do it is to marry again, or to marry for the first time. Unfortunately, that already people are stigmatizing them in the communities and societies they go back to by calling them in court Boko Haram wives. So that is one of the stigmas, and therefore many prospective suitors for them shun them, and people call them, because they are called in court Boko Haram wives, and that is why no any suitor is interested in them, and that is really giving them another round of psychological pain and anguish. And that is why we believe that the government has to take a holistic approach to making sure that these girls come back to normal life, and they rebuild their lives, and all the stigma is addressed through psychosocial care and reorientation. And we believe that this is something that has to be done. Unfortunately, nothing has been done, but we will continue to work on that and make sure that the right thing is done.
Very briefly, is what's happening to these young women and the failures by the Nigerian government to assist a signal in terms of a broader view that Nigeria has in dealing with gender-based violence in general?
Yes. So one thing that I should have mentioned even from the beginning is that the Nigerian government has a program for rebuilding the lives of young men affected by Boko Haram, but they have no program for rebuilding the lives of young girls and young women affected by Boko Haram. So you can see the gender discrimination clearly here. And we believe that that is one of the reasons why this issue is not being given the right attention.
Mr. Sanusi, we're going to have to leave it there, but thank you very, very much indeed for continuing to tell this very important story, and we hope that the attention that it gets will force the authorities to do something. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for having me this time.
Thank you. That's Isa Sanusi, Director, Amnesty International, Nigeria.